Have you ever listened to someone speak a foreign language so well that you thought they were native, only to find out that they weren't? That's what we're talking about today. How to sound like a native speaker even if you are not one, or if you cannot pronounce certain sounds. And I say this as a native Polish speaker who can't roll her R's. Never could, still sound 100% native. So trust me, perfection is overrated. What really matters is something else, and that's what I'll break down for you today. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and now let's get started. First of all, let go of the idea that you need to sound perfect. We often put so much pressure on ourselves to sound like a native speaker, to hit every vowel, every consonant, everything. But the truth is that even native speakers don't sound perfect all the time. I'm saying this as someone whose native language is Polish, and also as someone who cannot roll her R's. Never could. I've seen so many speech therapists, I've done so many different exercises over the years, and it's just not happening. So yeah, even in my own language, I cannot hit every single sound. But do I sound foreign to other native speakers? Of course not. I still sound native. There are native French speakers who cannot say the French R, or there are Spanish speakers who cannot roll their R's either. So let go of the idea that you need to pronounce every single sound with a textbook perfection to sound natural. When it comes to working on your accent, shadowing is probably my #1 technique. And honestly, it's underrated. Shadowing means repeating what a native speaker says in real time as closely as possible. You kind of become their echo. Here's how to do it in practice. Choose a short, clear audio clip, ideally 1 to 2 minutes long, and then repeat out loud what the native speaker says. Ideally, you would repeat at the same time as the native speaker. But at the beginning, you can of course pause and say that phrase a few times and then try to say it with the native speaker. If in your audio clip they are talking super fast, try to put the speed on 0.5 or 0.75. I find that it's really helpful, especially at the beginning. You can do it on YouTube and I think on Netflix as well. So yeah, that's a really good tip if you are a beginner and you find that native speakers talk super fast and you cannot really catch every single sound, and yeah, it's just overwhelming. If you're learning a less popular language and you cannot find audio online, which is very common for languages like Persian, for example, which I'm learning right now, then I discovered a very cool website recently. This is not an ad or anything, I just think it's really, really cool. It's called Narakit, and basically you can paste your text in your target language and they will generate an audio file for you. They have a bunch of different AI voices. You can even choose from a few different ones per language. And yeah, they will generate an audio file for you and you can listen to the pronunciation and do your shadowing exercise that way. I've been using it a lot with Persian recently, so highly recommend. Another very important thing when you are doing your shadowing exercises, don't just focus on the words, focus on how native speakers are saying them. So focus on the rhythm, the intonation, the stress patterns, the overall melody of the language. It's kind of like music. Every language has their own tempo and tune. So even before you do your shadowing exercise, you can use the audio clip that you have chosen and just listen to it, not for comprehension. Don't focus on the words, just focus on the melody of the language. Try to notice, where does the voice rise? Where does it fall? Where do they stop? Stuff like that. Just kind of absorb the whole melody of the language. This kind of listening builds your subconscious rhythm, and that's what native accents are made of. And this also ties in with what I said at the beginning. Don't focus on individual sounds, focus on the flow of the language. This is where a lot of learners get stuck. They hyper-focus on one single sound, thinking that if they don't get it right, they will never sound native. But in reality, it's the flow of the language that makes you sound native-like. Think about this. In your own native language, when someone stresses the wrong syllable, I bet that it sounds completely off. Whereas if someone cannot pronounce a certain sound, it sounds way less off, in my opinion at least, and at least in Polish. So yeah, loosen up, let the words roll, mimic the sentence as a whole, not as a string of individual sounds. Next up is train your speaking muscles. Your mouth, your brain, your ear, they are like athletes or like dancers. You have to train them. If you are learning a language with completely new sounds like Arabic or Korean, then your mouth is learning a whole new choreography. So be patient and give it time. What's super important is you have to practice out loud, not in your head. And that is because in our head, we can pronounce every single sound. If I think about a certain word in my head, I can roll my R's perfectly. But if I try to say it out loud, it just doesn't work. So whenever you can, try to practice out loud. Do tongue twisters, drill minimal pairs like sheep, ship, beard, bird. You can even exaggerate the sounds at first, stretch them, play with them. That helps build muscle memory, so eventually they come out naturally. I remember when I was in primary school and we were learning English, and my teacher, who was wonderful by the way, she made us do this one exercise because a lot of people struggled with the sound th. So it was quite funny. She had us literally stick our tongues out and say th. I remember, I think we spent like a good 20 minutes just sticking our tongues out in primary school, going like th, th, th. But it really worked. And I remember that a lot of people who struggled with this, they learned how to say that sound thanks to this exercise. Obviously, in normal speech, you don't stick your tongue out like that. But if you want to practice making a certain sound, then it's very effective to just exaggerate it. And yeah, eventually it will come out naturally. Next up is use your emotions. This might sound weird, but actually one of the best ways to sound native is to actually feel something when you are speaking. I don't know about you, but when I am starting a new language and I am doing my shadowing exercises, I find that when I repeat new words, I sound so emotionless and almost like robotic in a way. And that is because I literally don't put any emotions into my speech at the beginning. So we want to fix that. When we speak our native language, we don't just say words. We express moods, attitudes, feelings. So when you practice, add feeling. Say something angrily. Pretend to make a joke. Pretend to be disappointed. Pretend to be upset. Not only does it make it fun, but it also makes it real. You are practicing the emotional tone of the language, which is just as important as the words. Okay, and my last tip is get feedback from real people, because you can practice in front of the mirror or you can record yourself for hours, but the real test is speaking with other native speakers. So talk to native speakers, join a language exchange. If you are lucky enough to travel to a country where your target language is spoken, try to speak with the locals at a cafe, at a restaurant, at the market, wherever you can. But what often happens is that they won't give you feedback, so you have to be specific and you have to ask for it. I remember when I first moved to France and I started making friends, I asked some of them to give me feedback. I said, hey, if I'm mispronouncing certain words, tell me. If you think that I could improve in something, then also tell me. Because I think this is the most effective way to improve your accent, because sometimes you mispronounce certain words and you don't even realize. You'll be surprised at how many small things you can tweak that will instantly level you up. But just beware that some people might not want to correct you, because people think that if they correct you, then they are gonna sound rude. But just tell them, I want you to correct me. Please do, because I want to improve as much as possible. I want my accent to be very good. If they are a good friend, then they will correct you. All right, so that's it for today's video. I really hope you found it helpful. Remember, it's not about sounding perfect, it's about sounding natural. So shadow daily, feel what you're saying, and don't let one sound hold you back from speaking your dream language. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.